Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is Jalen. We are live here on YouTube and Instagram as well here. So, thank you for joining me today, Jalen. How's your day been like today so far?
Hey, it's been a great day, Chief. But as I always say, what's even better? Being a Ragin Cajun. Let's get it.
All right. Last 2 years of 2022 and 2023, Louisiana Ragin Cajuns finished the season 6-7, which marks 2 consecutive years of losing seasons here. We did a positional breakdown. If you'd like to go look at our thoughts on that, we did a more detailed looking through the roster and see who they had coming back, who left in the transfer portal, all that good stuff, and who we thought were the biggest strengths of the team and biggest weaknesses, which we'll touch on some of that here in this episode here. But to kind of get an idea of what's going on here, you got to look through the schedule and see what is actually going on here. So as we go through the schedule, we'll pick games we think will win, lose, maybe draw. Is draw even a thing in college football? I don't even know anymore. But Jalen, yeah, what you think about this upcoming schedule for the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns here? I'm gonna pull it up real quick here so y'all can see what I'm talking about here. There's the schedule that we have here. This is Grambling's the first game, as you can clearly see here.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is some as we peer through the schedule here and look at all this here? I'm gonna try to scroll down so everybody can see.
Yeah.
Grambling.
Well, Chief, I would say as you kind of going through the schedule, as everybody could see right there, I think the first 4 games of the year in the non-conference schedule, I think is great so far for the Cajuns. They start off with Louisiana foe Grambling, which is going to be a big game, first game of the season at home to kick off things. Kennesaw State's after that. Another matchup at home against Tulane, another Louisiana school, and then kick out the non-conference schedule with Wake Forest, and then they start getting into Sun Belt Conference play in their last 8 games. 8 of the 12 games are conference play, Sun Belt. Great teams in Sun Belt this year. I know a lot of younger teams this year. A lot of coaches in Sun Belt moved around. The Cajuns, I would say, are the deepest team in the Sun Belt. They're ranked 15th nationally in returning production, and that's just not in the Sun Belt. That's nationally in all of college football. So I think that this year is the year for this team to make a deep run. And as I'm going to look at the bottom right here, I'm looking at this SBC championship game, and I think that's the goal this year for this Cajuns team. And if you look at the schedule, Chief, I think the path that they have to get there is not going to be easy. But a lot of these teams they can beat, and I think as we go through each game, we'll be able to see what strengths and weaknesses this team has going into the season.
So if you look through the schedule here, as I'm going up and down, kind of like showing everybody here, I want you to pay attention to what's coming up right here. So as we go to the top here, let's go bring you back up to the top of Grambling. Okay, so you got your non-conference schedule here. What bypass that now? This one right here. I think this Tulane game is bigger than the Wake Forest game. John Summerall took over as head coach there. He came in from Troy, who 2-time defending Sun Belt champion here. Look, at our alumni reunion 1989 team will be there, members of it. So you go down here, and this after Southern Miss, this is the stretch I'm most interested in when I look at the schedule. So you look at App State, and you look at Coastal and Texas State here. That's a 3-game stretch where you're on the road for 2 of those 3 games there, and you're going to have to figure out how you're going to win on the road there. So if you can get 2 or 3 right here, you're sitting pretty good here as far as the Sun Belt goes here. And you get Arkansas State, which usually, if you look at the history of this series between Arkansas State and the Cajuns, usually the home team wins that one, which is interesting to say the least here. Then you got South Alabama there. So that is something you're going to have to, take into account there. South Alabama always plays the Cajuns kind of tough here. Troy, you get the 2-time defending Sun Belt champions at home. That is something that's going to be a very good thing for you. UOM at Malone Stadium, I think the Cajuns could definitely win that one. That's something that, they seem to have their number lately. So, but, we'll go through all these games and kind of give our takes on them and see here. So, now, Jalen, I'm going to just say this here real quick here. Let's get that off of here quick. Right, clearing to pop us back up here. So, will the stadium, the going on, it's going to be it's a weird time, right? Atmosphere is going to be a little bit different at Cajun Field because you don't have that upper deck. People are going to be sitting in spots here. They're going to have so the hold on, my mind's drawing a blank, guys. Give me a second. So the press box is going to be on what was the visitor side. It's going to be facing towards that home side, or was formerly the home side for this year. So I guess they're gonna is that a distraction? If once you look on the side, like you see the fans kind of differently, it's gonna be a different year. My seats are a little bit different. So, what you think about that, Jalen? Is that a problem you see for the Cajuns coming up this year?
Excuse me. No, excuse me. Oh, live on the air, Chief. Kind of losing my voice
Yeah,
there.
he's speechless right
Oh
now,
man.
y'all.
There we
Give him a
go. There we
second.
go. Getting it back.
Give him a
Okay,
second.
so yeah, who? But to answer your question, Chief, no, I don't think it's going to be a distraction for this Cajuns team. I think that going into this season, their mindset should be it doesn't matter if we're getting Our Lady of the Lord Stadium. It doesn't matter if it's going to be done in 2025 or what's going on outside noise. I think this team needs to come and play. Now, does it feel like it's going to have kind of less fans because half of the field is not going to be there? Yes, it can feel like that. But at the same time, the real Cajun Nation fans will show up. They'll support their team. And like I said, this year, I'm telling you, is going to be the year for this Cajuns team. I don't see it as a distraction. I don't think the players see it as a distraction. Honestly, it could be a big motivator right there because they'll think in the back of their minds, they'll be like, okay, well, our press box is on the visitor side. The visitor side might have all the fans compared to Cajun fans, and they got to pile up on one side. So you got to think about things like that when it comes to uh, the stadium. So I don't think it's going to be a distraction. I think it actually could be a motivator for this team moving forward, and it should be. It gives them incentives to be like, hey, we want to play. We want to show that even if we're getting the stadium built, we're going to play. We're going to go out there on that field, give it our all, and we're going to win games. And I think that should be a mindset from day one.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that if you look at the press boxes are going to look like some deer stands, basically, if you're looking up at it there. So, like like deer stand, you go to be a deer stand and stuff when you go deer hunting and stuff. That's kind of what it reminds me of when you look at the pictures of it and stuff. So it's going to be like there's temporary stuff there. I know during the summertime they had lost like one or two of them because the rain and the wind was knocking them over and stuff. So they had to probably put more sandbags or whatever they used to anchor it down to the concrete there on the top level they had them on, or the seats or whatever. But so yeah, I got my 2 season tickets. I'll be there for all 6 games, God willing. You know, I'll do my best to get there. So that is something that it's gonna be an interesting time though, because usually I had season tickets way up in the upper deck and stuff, and on that side because I like the view up there. I like the wind because you could feel the wind really good down there. I didn't like being down at because the air is like more hot and stuff, so it kind of was like a relief to me. But anyway, that's just my personal thing as a fan. So I'm losing that.
I didn't
So I'm a
even
little
think about
heartbroken.
that, Chief. I didn't think about that till you brought it up. They're
Yeah,
distracting you more than the team. That's what's going on.
yeah. So let's go bring up this schedule here real quick. Bring up Grambling here. So with the Grambling game here, it's going to be an interesting one. So Grambling's going to bring fans. I think everybody can know that here. They played when Billy first got here, Billy Napier, which if you look at Las Vegas odds, he's the one guy, 4-1 odds, is he's going to get fired by the end of the year. So a 6-7 year for Desimo. Again, does that put him out of a job? I'd like to talk about that maybe a little bit here later on. But so Grambling, I think the Cajuns win this game. I know Grambling's going to bring a big crowd here, but the FCS opener, you can get your kinks out, hopefully, and it doesn't really affect you too much. So I think if you establish what the identity of your team is in the first 2 or 3 games that you have, because you can't establish it at practice. You can teach a philosophy of how it's supposed to be, but you can't establish it at practice. It's just kind of like it just molds like as the season goes along. Teams either get better or they get worse due to injuries. They have lack of depth, that kind of thing. So I think Grambling, I think that's a good game they can start out with, and I think they will get the win against Grambling there. What do you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm gonna say outside of a potential Sun Belt championship game, Grambling will be the biggest game of the year as far as crowd, as far as people that's coming into town, as far as everything. Everyone is going to come to Lafayette for this game. It's going to be a big game, Louisiana matchup. Grambling is going to come in first game of the year, like you said, for the Cajuns to get the kinks out. But I wouldn't sleep on Grambling either. I think the Cajuns are going to win this game, but I think it's going to be closer than what everybody thinks because everybody's trying to get the kinks out and everything, including the Grambling Tigers also. But I think at the end, the Cajuns are going to get the win. But the atmosphere of the first game of the year is going to be amazing.
Yeah, so I think that and then you got the new FBS newcomers, Kennesaw State. They're in Georgia. Not really much known about them. I mean, they're an FCS team that transferring over to the FBS or moving on up, as they call it here. How you think this I don't think we're going to really touch on this too much, but how you think this college football playoff is going to affect this game, basically? Because now granted, I don't know if the Cajuns will make the college football playoff. There's a chance, but you got to be the top G5 team basically to win it. You got to basically be the best of all the G5 teams and be a conference champion to get the auto bid. And there are certain teams that are going to have an easier path there because of strength of schedule and stuff. So let's say if the Cajuns do go undefeated here, Jalen, they manage to win all their games, they go undefeated. How you think that college football playoff thing factor in schedule and stuff for G5?
I think I would say if the Cajuns went undefeated and they beat, look at their schedule right now, they beat 8 of 12 teams. The eight of 12 teams on their schedule are in the Sun Belt. One of those teams is two-time defending champion in Troy. Another one of those teams is another team in App State who years ago were great, known, making it to Sun Belt championship games. Coastal Carolina's on the schedule. I think that the Cajuns go undefeated. They deserve to be in the college football playoff, I think. And especially if they win the Sun Belt championship game too. Oh yeah, 100%. I think the Cajuns will be in the college football playoff, representing the G5, I would say, based on this schedule.
So what I'm thinking here is you get I think so too. I think they'll probably put them at 12 seed. I don't think they're going to give Cajuns like a 4, a 3, or a 2 or a 1 even. I don't think they're going to give the G5s that opportunity in the college football playoff here. But I do think they'll give them like the hardest path possible. I don't think they're going to make it easy on them because what I see happening in my head of the future of college football, I don't want it to happen. I do think there's enough teams out there that makes it interesting here, but I do see a power 2 happening. I don't think the ACC and the Big 12 survive. And if they do survive, they're going to have to merge together. It'll either be a power 2 or a power 3 based on what I'm seeing here, but their budgets just don't, even come close to the SEC or the Big 10. That's why that's why all this stuff happened earlier, like in the year with the Pac-12 and all this other stuff moving on, because I do think that, unfortunately, money kind of runs everything in college athletics here. I do feel bad for the athletes, the student athletes that are at USC or even Stanford that have to go across the entire country. If you're a baseball team or a softball team that have to go play a 3-game series, I do feel bad about that. But as far to the Cajuns in the college football playoff here, I do think they're going to eventually at some point just weed them out. I think that there's going to be a G5 playoff because it's going to want the powers that are in charge will be having that there. Do I want it? Not really. I think that I don't think it's going to hurt them. I mean, who really watches? I mean, if you're a diehard fan of the school, and I've always said championships do attract more people, but unless you're consistently winning championships at the FCS level, you're not building that fan base around there. People ain't going to want to watch that thing. They're always going to want to watch, if you're going to go watch arena football versus the NFL, if you had the option to watch either one of them and they're playing at the exact same time, you're more than likely going to probably watch the NFL. So, I mean, in that regard there, I do think the Cajuns do kind of get in a bad spot if a G5 playoff would actually come out to be. there's not going to be eyeballs on there. That's why everybody's jumping to the FBS. Like if you're in FCS, you can jump into FBS. That's why they're doing that, because there's more eyeballs, more money involved, and more scholarships for the expanded part of your roster there. So the one thing that I think we could look at this 2024 schedule and look at here is the Cajuns did not do well the last 2 years in one possession games. And they're like 2-9, I think, in one possession games from the last 2 seasons, when the predecessor to Michael Desimo was Billy Napier, which Billy Napier did very well in one possession games, which en route led to a 2021. So with that there, they may not have been a dominant team where they're just beating the pulp out of teams, but they managed to finish games and being able to, close it when the closer kind of thing, that closing mentality they had there to finish it off and just get done with it there. That is something that needs to come back to the Cajuns this year. I think they got a good opportunity to do so with this team here. This is a very experienced team they got coming back. You got a very solid quarterback core led by Chandler Fields and Ben Wooldridge. Both have starting experience here. And I think that this senior-led quarterbacks are going to make a big difference in the leadership role. They are battling it out right now. I do think Chandler will get the reins of the offense after for the first game of this year. I think he's going to be the starter because, you looked at how he played at the end of last year. Even though they lost the New Orleans Bowl, I think here, I don't think they're going to have another 6 and 7 year. So picking this game, I got Grambling winning, and then I think they'll go on the road to beat Kennesaw State. What you think, Jalen, about this senior leadership of this team here? And what are some other position groups that you look forward to really taking that next step here? If you want a more detailed position group breakdown, we already have an episode that we did last week. So what you think, Jalen, about what position group excites you and what you think predictions for a Kennesaw State game?
So like I said, the senior-led group, I think that's awesome. I think the seniors are the veterans of the team. They've been on the team for years. They understand the offense, they understand the defense, understand special teams. They're the ones that are going to lead the Cajuns to victory, and along with the young guys. Now, as far as position group I'm interested in, I would say the linebacker group for me personally, because I feel like you have Casey Osai, who has been a leader of that defense for the last couple of years. And then you have guys like who we talked about in the position group. We have Terrence Williams, who was a former running back, as we said, Chief, went over to linebacker. And now we're trying to see what he's going to do on the defensive side of the ball. And that he used to be a running back, so now he knows how to tackle running backs. So that's ain't that something else, Chief? But I think that's very interesting. I can't wait to see that. I think that's the position group I'm looking forward to. And those are kind of the anchors of the defense. Minus the guys in the secondary stopping the receivers, you got to have somebody who's going to stop the run and help the defensive line. So the linebackers are there. As far as the game against Kennesaw State, I think it's great. Kennesaw State has now put themselves in a position to where they can compete possibly in a college football playoff, being in Conference USA. But ultimately, I think the Cajuns will get the win. I think that'll be win number 2 on the year after they beat Grambling, and they'll have a great start, starting off 2-0 to start the year.
So as I look at the 2024 schedule and you see Tulane here pop up, and then you got Wake Forest right after that here. This is one I'm iffy on with Tulane. Tulane's had a lot of success here. I remember going to Ullman Stadium in 2016. Very exciting game. A lot of overtimes over there. I just remember getting back to Lafayette. I don't think the game ended at 11 o'clock at night. And we drove from New Orleans back to Lafayette and just tired because it was just it kept having overtime. After overtime, we're like, okay, who's going to win? It was very nerve-wracking to kind of watch that go through. We actually put that on our website. I think I wrote about it. I think I called it The Knives in New Orleans. So I made a little journal about it, which was a very documenting time just to document it there on the fishbowl. But this one here, if you I don't know if anybody has college football 25 or not, but Tulane's actually rated higher than the Cajuns in the game. But I think some of that might be like preconceived a little bit there. If you look at preconceivedness of like what they did recently, they didn't like really look at the roster. They kind of just like like, okay, they went to the Cotton Bowl and beat USC. That's what they've been known for the last like 2 years. Okay, they beat USC that time, and they've really been able to like solidify themselves as like a name and a brand. They got themselves out there, and I think that's something that the Cajuns kind of struggle with a little bit here. I mean, like we really are pushing the Raging Cajun thing, like the stack logo and that kind of thing, which is fine. I think you've got to have an identity somewhere, and I think it kind of bodes very well for us. It like, look, there's only one team that's nicknamed the Raging Cajun, and that's Louisiana. So that's what we're known for. So if you look at it there, and it's going to be a tough one, regardless of how you look at it here for the Cajuns. I think it's going to be a very close game. Man, like, I think the senior-led leadership of this team gets the win against Tulane because Tulane's going through a head coaching change. They're going to a little bit of like adjusting to do. They might get it in week 1 or week 2, but I don't think they're going to get it. I don't think they're going to get it there. Usually it might take about a half a season, but by that point here, you'll probably get 3 or 4 wins. I think they're going to be all right, Tulane. Agents pick up the win and go 3-0 heading into Wake Forest. What you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you, Chief. I think the Cajuns are going to get the win against Tulane. But people have to realize this too. Tulane's coach, as we talked about it before, tell me if I'm wrong, Chief, but Troy's old coach just went to Tulane. Am I right?
Yep, that's correct. 2-time Sun Belt champion coach. Back to back.
Troy is a 2-time Sun Belt champion. I know the AAC is not the Sun Belt, but when you have a coach with that championship resume going to a different program, a great program, you have to watch out for things like that too. And then it's an in-state rival going against Tulane, so you just never know how the game's going to go. But I think, like you said, T, I think the Cajuns' experience, their leadership on both sides of the ball is going to be nitty and gritty, and they're going to ultimately get the win and be 3-0. And that's going to be a fantastic start to start the season for the Cajuns.
So looking at Wake Forest and Southern Miss games here, I think the Cajuns dropped the game this year. Now I'm not saying they can't win that game because I mean look what it did to Iowa State a couple of years ago. But it's like judging what happened last year and the year before. I think this is where they get their first loss here, and it's I think 3-1. Entering Wake Forest, you're going against a Power 4 team, and I just don't see them walking out there with a win, if I had to be honest with y'all. So, Wake Forest, I just don't see it going the Cajuns' way. I think that's where they get their first loss. What you thinking, Jalen?
Yeah, Wake Forest, ACC team. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Cajuns, especially being on the road. It's a tough one for me. I think the Cajuns are ultimately going to lose this one, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be really close. But I think the Cajuns suffered their first loss of the year against Wake Forest.
Now, going to Southern Miss here. So last year, I picked the Cajun to beat Southern Miss because Southern Miss was god-awful last year. They didn't play very well. They had a terrible record. They didn't do very well at all last year. And they come into Cajun Field and they beat the Cajuns. And I'm like, that's about right. I'm just sitting there in the stands and I'm like, that's about right. Like, oh, man. So looking at it there, I was like, well, like Southern Miss and the Cajuns, they have a little bit of history together. Like, some would say it's a rivalry. Some would say it's not, depending on who you ask. I mean, that's kind of like the question here. So, do I view Southern Miss as a rival? It could potentially be a rivalry. I think it's more rivalry in baseball. I feel like Southern Miss would be a good baseball rivalry because a lot of times but not really as much in football as much because we haven't beat Southern Miss in a while. Let me see. Hold on. Let me pull up the history here. So the last time the Cajuns beat, you see what this is why. Look at this. I'm going to highlight this. This is why I'm saying it's not a rivalry. 11 wins and 42 losses. Now, usually, whenever you try to claim a rivalry, there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of hate. So, Auburn and Alabama. And we haven't beat them in the last 11 times. Okay, so look, I think it's 93 was the last time that we actually won that game, and I don't think I was alive then. Nope, I was not. I was in my mother's womb at this time. Okay, I was later on in October. Yes, I missed it by like about 2 weeks, basically. So look, that's the last time the Cajuns beat Southern Miss on that day right there, October 2nd, 1993, in Lafayette. So I would not consider this a rivalry. Just because you're close to somebody in geometric location doesn't mean you're a rival. But oh, look, until the Cajuns beat them, I cannot pick the Cajuns. I mean, that I would love Cajuns beat Southern Miss, but man, I'd be going against 20 years of history, and I would be a hypocrite if I picked the Cajuns in this one, because I'm a big proponent of looking at past history and past results, and they usually help out a good when it comes to picks. So this one hurts, man. I give me the Golden Eagles. Oh,
Ooh.
Jalen, what you thinking?
That's a tough one to swallow, Chief. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna just be straightforward with you. Like you said, Southern Miss through the last couple of years haven't been the best team in the Sun Belt. We know that last year they were right there, dead last at the bottom of ULM. But I will say this: it is not going to take the Cajuns another 30 years to beat Southern Miss. They are going to beat them in Hattiesburg this year. Give me the Cajuns. There's no more Frank Gore for Southern Miss running that ball, so the offense is going to be completely different. Give me the Cajuns.
I hope you're right, Jalen. I really hope so. You're at 4-1 for them so far. I'm at 3-2, and that brings App State to Cajun Field. Like, this is why I think this game stretch is important here. So, App State going to Cajun Field. I think Cajuns. Here's the weird thing. So if you look back, like, okay, here's the thing with me. History says it. I'm not gonna. Last time we played App State was in 2021. The record was 3-8, and then eventually we started beating App State. Okay, so we got a 3-game winning streak against them. But before that, man, it was a rough time there. From 2014 to 2019, we were getting our butts handed to them. Except for like right here, where I remember in 2019 feeling like, man, we're so close to beating them. Like, I think you can even look back at the 2020 episode. I was like, I think we got to get them this year. And look, I think we for fighting for the top of the Sun Belt. App State's always been against us here, and if we win that game, we're gonna feel really good about it there. But you know what? I think we get it done this year. I think we beat App State. I think this is another one. We add another one to the winning streak there. What you think of Jalen?
Yes, I'm agree with you right there, Chief. App State, a team that I think we barely played since we beat them in the Sun Belt Championship a couple of years ago. So it seems like a
Yeah,
while
yeah.
ago, but hey, we're going to beat them once again. I would give me the Cajuns to win at home against App State.
So Coastal, we're on the road going to get to Coastal Carolina, Conway, South Carolina. So 3-2. Wait, hold on. Wait, am I right? Let me see. Hold on. I'm losing. Let's see. I'm losing to Wake Forest and Southern Miss. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4-2. Okay, so I'm one game off. All right, so 4-2. Jalen's at 5-1 so far on the year. Coastal. So, there's been a little transfer portal news, Jalen. With Coastal. And it's a very good thing for the Cajuns here. Let me pull it up real quick.
Is it about, a quarterback?
Yep, it's a quarterback.
Yep, I knew it. I knew it.
Grayson McCall is no longer
He's no longer
Can I add?
on the Coastal Carolina roster.
I wonder if it's going to let me add something here. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Actually, I don't think it will. All right. So whatever. I can't do it here. I can't show. Well, actually, I think I might be able to. Let me see if I can switch it over. Replace with screen share. Let's see. Here it is. I'm going to share this one. Look, there it is right there. NC
With the
State
Wolfpack.
quarterback Grayson McCall. There y'all go. That is right there. Not good for Coastal. Very good for us. And that's one of the reasons why I'm picking the Cajuns to beat them, because I
Boom.
think because before McCall got there, the Cajuns had their way Coastal. They did a very good job there against them. And I still think that the Cajuns got robbed in 2020 without that Sun Belt championship game. I think they should be back-to-back Sun Belt champions. You look at the history of the Sun Belt, and yeah, basically, give me that one, man. Give me the Cajuns beating Coastal. What you thinking, Jalen?
Yes, the not having Grayson McCall under center for the Chanticleers is a huge thing. He's a multi-year starter. He's been there for who knows how long, and the fact that he transferred out is great for the Cajuns. I'm going to give the Cajuns the win. They're going to go to Conway and they're going to beat Coastal Carolina.
So you got 6-1, huh, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm speaking into existence, Chief. It's going to be a great year.
Let's see, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. I'm 5-2 right now. Now this one scares me. Texas State. Texas State has never beaten the Cajuns. They have never beaten the Cajuns. I think the closest they came was last year, I think. 11-0. It was 34-30 last time. Yeah, and that was it. Largest margin was 2021, 45-0, and then 34-30. They have made an improvement for sure. They haven't really gotten to the Cajuns close like that at any point. The closest before that was in 2020. But we go on the road to them, and that's scary. Because I think the home crowd won us that game last year. I really believe the fans won us that game because they were that. I remember that game. Like, it felt like, yes, like this was it. Like this was a huge game that we needed to win, and it felt that way. The way the environment and everything was. That's why it's going to be to do this, but I think it ends this year. I don't think the Cajuns beat Texas State. They got Jordan McLeod. I think that's his name, right? McLeod?
Is he see, when I think of Texas State, I'm thinking about the running back who is one of the best, not only
Yeah,
in the
they have a lot of
NFL.
transfers. So it
Oh yeah.
you look at Texas State and they really let's see. Let me just type in McLeod. Let's see. Jordan
You
McLeod.
gotta
Yeah, I was
remember,
right. I
gotta
want to make
remember
sure I
though.
wasn't butchering his name. Okay, cool. But yeah, here's the thing. It's
Is
a
that his
tough.
name?
Yeah, Jordan McLeod was the quarterback. He transferred from James Madison. Let's see, Texas State RB.
No more TJ Finley though. You gotta think
Yeah,
about that also.
it's gonna be a tough one for the Cajuns. I just don't think that they can make it out this year, though. I don't think they win this game because they added a lot of transfers. They really went into that transfer portal. So, Zion Cruz is very big in this game too. So I don't know if we have that like scrambling ability to like they might play it differently with Chandler and Ben. But look, I'm hoping they pull it out. I'm pulling for the Cajuns every single game, but just it's like the thing with App State. I feel like we got App State's number now. I think Texas State might have ours. What you think of Jalen?
So if there was a road game for the Cajuns to lose, I have to agree with you, Chief. This will be the one right here. You look to it last season; they went toe to toe with Texas State, and they ended up coming out with the win. But I think, like you said, Texas State going to the transfer portal, getting a great quarterback, and they already have a dominant running game. I'm not going to say it's going to be too much for the Cajuns, but going to San Marcos and trying to get a win is going to be tough in that environment. So I think I'm going to give the Cajuns my second L of the season.
So
I don't
I'm
like it
five
though,
and
but
yeah, I'm 5-3. You're 6-2 on the Cajuns so far this year, which brings us to Arkansas State. Now, if you're looking back at history, the home team usually wins this one. So yeah, like I don't think there's been only a handful of times. Last year, Cajuns lost 37-17. I remember Zion Chris getting injured in that game. He's no longer here. He's at Houston. So if you look back, did they? Oh, okay. That was big advertisement right there. I was like, okay. Like you look at the history, like 2012 Lafayette, Jonesboro, Lafayette. Like usually there's only a couple of times that these teams won since 2017. Usually the home team wins this one. But yeah, we've recently had the number. But they turned it around last year. Maybe it might be like a blimp on the map. Butch Jones has that program running the right way. So I'm thinking, but I think the Cajuns get it back this year. I think like last year, it just was a lot going on. They didn't block very well. The Cajuns. It was just a bad game in general. I wouldn't say like they didn't deserve to win Arkansas State, but I think the Cajuns played bad that game. But I think they get it back this year, and I think they pick up the win against Arkansas State. So that would make me at 6-3, get them bowl eligible. What you thinking, Jalen?
So Cajuns at home, taking on a Butch Jones team who's been playing great, especially going into last year with Jalen Rayner at their quarterback position. And once he was a freshman last year, heading into another year. But ultimately, I think the Cajuns are going to get the win. The defense is going to step up. They're going to play well. And I think the Cajuns at the end, they're going to get the win. Another dub for the Louisiana football team.
7-2 for Jalen, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm 6-3. South Alabama, Troy, and ULM are the last three games on the schedule here as we go through all the schedule and pick these games here. So everybody last year was talking about South Alabama beating the Cajuns. And I was like, South Alabama hasn't really, if you look like, I like bring up the history of these series because it's kind of fun to look at and see how everything is going. They only started playing since 2012. Not last time, 33-20. South Alabama played terrible last time. They got a lot of turnovers. They beat the Cajuns 17-20. And that was their only time beating the Cajuns until 2015. So the Cajuns had a big transfer portal thing with 2020. I think the Cajuns are even having more experience than they did in 23. I think even with all the help that South Alabama gave them last year, I think they still beat them again this year. Give me Cajuns beating South Alabama and making them 7-3 on the year. What you, Jalen?
Yeah, I'm agree with you again there, Chief. We're gonna keep the past in the past. This is a new team, a better veteran, more veteran leadership team this year. I'm going to go with the Ragin Cajuns. They're going to beat South Alabama right there at home, and I don't think South Alabama has their number this year.
Yeah, so I'm thinking like Troy's an interesting one. In my head, I kept coming back to a number that is 8-4. I keep thinking the Cajuns will finish this season 8-4. So now I got to make them lose one of these last two games here to make my prediction. These games could change. Like very well, Arkansas State could go to Cajun Field and beat the Cajuns, and that could very well happen. I mean, I do think that South Alabama game or the Arkansas State could flip either one of them. But I think more the Arkansas State game, I feel more confident them beating South Alabama than I do Arkansas State. Looking at Troy, I think Troy lost some people to the transfer portal as well. But I'm just going to go for the sake of going for it. I'll give the Cajuns a loss to Troy at home just because I want to make it 8-4 record. And I don't know where else I would actually put it at. It is senior day, and sometimes the Cajuns don't really play the best on senior day. From my experience of going to Cajun Field for many years for whatever reason, they don't play well on that day for whatever reason. So maybe it's the all the antics and the event and stuff. It's your last game. You might be trying to play too hard for it at some points, but we'll see. But yeah, give me a Troy win. I got them at 7-4 right now. What you think of Jalen?
Man, I'm going to say this, and I think I'm gonna call this before November 23rd. That game comes. The Louisiana Ragin Cajuns are going to beat the Troy Trojans. I'm gonna say this because not only is it senior day, they want to play well. They have the game at home right before Thanksgiving. They ready to eat. It's the second to last game of the season, right before they have a chance to play for that Sun Belt championship. And this is the team who are the two-time defending champions, and you want to beat them and knock them out. I think the Cajuns are going to get this one. I think this is the game that they circled right here all year long that they're waiting to get to. Troy, like you said, is missing some pieces to the transfer portal. They have a new head coach. If it's any year for the Cajuns to beat the defending Sun Belt champs, it's right here and right now, and they have them at home. What better place can it be? So I think the Cajuns are going to beat Troy and add another win to the win column.
Yeah, so like I keep looking at like the 7-4, 8-4 kind of thing going on here just to kind of see what's going on with them. So getting those wins are going to be important for the Cajuns here. I think they'll beat UOM on the road. I know last time they went up there in 2022, they ended up losing, but the Cajuns, I think Coach Desimo made some poor calls. Like in-game adjustments wasn't the best. I felt like, because I remember them taking the field with Chandler, and they scored touchdowns multiple times. Like, let's keep him in the game. He's got all the momentum. He's in a rhythm. He's throwing the ball very well, and he swapped them out with Ben. That whole two. Like that's why I hope they don't do a 2-quarterback thing this year. If you got 2 quarterbacks, you ain't got none. You need to pick a starter and keep that person the starter because it messes up the rhythm of the offense whenever you try to start adding someone else in there. And I think Coach Desimo, I think he learned his lesson in 22, which, is his first year being a head coach. It's literally being thrown in the oven. It's hot, right? It's, baptism by fire, would you say, is basically the best way to put that. And I think he's learned over the last 2 years, he's getting better, I think, at making calls. We're going to see if that pays off for him this year. I do think the Cajuns end up being 8-4. Is that enough to get them to the Sun Belt Championship game? Probably not. Based on what I'm seeing here, I got them losing 2 Sun Belt games. So it's going to depend on who, what, and tiebreakers probably, how they win there. So better hope they if I had to pick someone come out the West, I think Texas State looks like a very attractive option. You would pick to come out the West here. I think that's why I think that Texas State game is kind of pivotal in that 3-game stretch here. But you got to win the rest of them because every week is going to be a grind. You can't just say, yeah, this is beat Texas State and get in there. But it's going to be one of those that it's going to be interesting to see what happens with all that. So what you think, Jalen, about UOM and Sun Belt Championship?
I think they're going to close it out against ULM. They're going to win. They're going to go to Monroe Malone Stadium, win that game. And I think my record would be, 10-2?
10-2, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. Oh, yeah, that definitely will get the Cajuns into the Sun Belt Championship game.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, this is a fun one to see here. I mean, 10-2 record, 8-4 record. 10-2 definitely gets them in the Sun Belt Championship game for sure. I mean, like, looking back over, what game do you think you're the less confident about, Jalen? If you had to pick out of all your wins, that you'd be like, okay, that's a flip. Let's flip that to a loss, maybe. If you had to pick one out of all of them, what you thinking?
If I had to pick one, it would definitely be Arkansas State. I think, like I said, I think Butch Jones is a great coach. He comes from an SEC powerhouse. I think that team with, like I said, with Jalen Rayner at quarterback, he showed what he could do last year. He gets another year under his belt. I think that's a team right there. Who one of my wins. I think if the Cajuns were to lose, it would be against Arkansas State.
Yeah. So let me ask you this here. I'm kind of agreeing with you. I think either Arkansas State would be a one, or App State. I think those two are one I'm looking at here that could potentially, my wins could be flipped, 2 losses there. So like I said back in 2021, and I mean not 21, in 2022 when the Cajuns were coming off all those wins with 1 loss, with 1 possession wins, it was not sustainable. There was gonna be a retraction here. That's why I think there's gonna be, I think they'll end up having better luck because you can't keep losing 1 possession games like that. I think they'll end up eventually, this will probably be the year they'll end up getting those wins back in those 1 possession games. That's why I think they're going to end up being 8-4 instead of 6-7 or wherever else. They're probably going to be 9-4 or something, like back in 2011 through 2014. They had those records. coming in. They're not officially 9-4. If NCAA, came in, took those wins away from the Cajuns, but we saw those games happen. They played. I think forfeiting wins is kind of dumb, but I get why. Rules are rules, whatever. So let's see here. So one last thing here before we get off here, and this is going to be a hard one, and it's going to be a hard one for the Cajun Nation to hear when I say it here. Coach Dez is a very well liked. He's one of us. He's a Cajun. He's from this area. He's from Acadiana. But if he goes 6-7, have a job in 2025 whenever we open up Our Lady of Lord Stadium.
Ooh. If he goes 6-7 again, I don't think he'll be the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns head coach going into the new stadium in 2025.
And I think I agree with you with that, because in my head I'm thinking, because you look at it here. So if I see, like, for example here, if he goes 6-7 and he loses a third straight bowl game, third straight losing season, and you got the man that's probably going to get fired from Florida that brought you all these wins and conference championships, if he was, if Dr. Maggard got rid of Coach Desimo and was like, look, you either take a hike or you get demoted or whatever it is, he's going to call Billy Napier. That's going to be one of his first phone calls, because that would probably be my first phone call, because, look, man, you made it work the first time you were here. I mean, like, it's not unheard of to go back to your stomping grounds. Look what Mac Brown, North Carolina. That is a very, situation right there that could very well be replicated here in Louisiana. So I think that'd be one of my first phone calls I would make for sure. Because, hey, it's hard to catch lightning in a bottle twice, but you might as well try it and see. Because, I mean, hey, it worked the first time. Won, 2020 Sunbelt Championship in 2021, basically. They had the same record. They got co-champions for 2020. Then, you won all those Western Division titles from 2018 to 2021. That 18, 19, 4 in a row. So, yeah, that's what I think. You're opening a brand new stadium. What better way to fill that brand new stadium than hiring Billy Napier to be your next head coach if you do if he does another 6-7 season? That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna put that out there. That's what I think. Do I see a 6-7 season happening? I don't see it. I think 8-4, because of just the experience on the team. He finally has a team that has experience around him, and that's my final prognosis here. And I'm gonna watch this back in December and be like, either, man, I'm very smart, or, man, I'm an idiot. So, yeah. So, anything you want to say before we get off here, Jalen?
I'm gonna say this. I already know the Cajuns are gonna have a great year. We fans, you don't have to worry about going 6-7. I don't think that's gonna happen. We just predicted that it's not going to happen. So we're not going to speak into existence, but we're just doing a what if just in case that happened for those that are watching. But I will say this, they're going to have a great year. I can't wait to go to the football games, attend them, and see the Cajuns get these wins. And hopefully at the end, we're going to see some championships.
Yeah, hopefully so here. So thank y'all for tuning in here to the Fishbowl Radio here. We're going to upload these on-demand video on YouTube and Facebook here to enjoy. For everybody watching on Instagram, thank you for tuning in here. This has been had a good bit of crowd here. I'm counting a good bit of live people watching this here. So thank you for tuning in here to the Fishbowl Radio. And everybody that watches on YouTube here, we appreciate y'all support here. And we couldn't do it without y'all. So that's our prediction. Jalen's got the Cajuns going 10-2. I got him going 8-4. Thank y'all for tuning in here. We're going to have a great, wonderful night. We'll see y'all here next time for next week, basically. We're going to talk some about football next week. Finally, going to pick all the games here. And, we might have a little surprise for y'all next week. Thank y'all for tuning in. I hope you have a great, wonderful time. I'll see y'all here next time on the Fishbowl.